Episode 41, the Back of the Class podcast. My name's Ben.
My name's Glenn.
And before we start off this week's episode, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Coco's Cakes, VIR Electrical, Members Force Credit Union, Balgriffin Inn and the Pitchside Pizza and Grill. And this week we're joined by
Fran Massey.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot for coming
Some
in.
setup you have here.
Did you like it?
Say, look the business, look something out of Godfather sitting there. It's deadly, it is. You're like a celebrity around here,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Well, we're a long time in the area, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like a kind of a tight-knit family around here. Everyone knows everybody, you know what I mean?
How did you, like, the Copric Jewelers is probably one of the most known jewellers in Dublin. Like, how did you market it? How did you make it so popular?
So we started myself and my business partner, John Adams, we started this around 24 years ago. But it really blew up through the lockdown, you know what I mean? Through, we got known by a lot of people through my daughter Caitlin, and through the lockdown everybody was at home, didn't know what to be doing themselves, and we blew up. We have a manufacturing company, so because we had manufacturing didn't have to close down a lot during the lockdown. A lot of places did, but we didn't have to.
Yeah.
So we could keep going. We kept walking through the lockdown, you know, supplying people. I was getting stuff all around the country.
Were you doing deliveries or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fucking everywhere. I'll tell you a story, tell you about that.
Oh, yeah.
The Bachelor, I'll tell you about that in a few minutes.
Right. How does it work with, like, I always wondered this, you know the way some dealers can sell Rolexes and all them different types of names and some dealers can't. Do you have to actually, like, reach out to Rolex to sell their products, or how does it work like that? Or do
No,
you
we
just-
have no contact with Rolex at all.
Do you
And
know?
that's what we have on our page. We are not affiliated with any of the brands.
Right,
So we're just pre-owned sellers of Rolex,
right.
you know, so and other brands, you know, it's not just
Yeah,
Rolex.
yeah, a lot
There's
of other brands, yeah.
15 other style brand of watches over there, you know what I mean?
Were you always into jewellery, like even growing up?
I was mad at the jewellery when I was a
Yeah.
kid, yeah.
Do you wanna bring us back to the start talking about that and tell us what life was like for you growing up, what school was like, what sort of career path you followed when you were younger, all of that.
Yeah, so I kind of got into metals and stuff like that when I was a kid because my dad used to collect scrap, you know, so I used to go collecting copper and lead and,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean, collecting scrap, that sort of way when I was a kid. I actually remember getting a hiding of, it was my communion, and I was sent down to, my ma's friend down the road, you know, and everyone's saying, go up the horse, she wants to see you, and you see, go up the horse and see you.
Yeah.
I was sent down to my ma's friend down the road, and on the way down there was a skip with a load of scrap in it. And I was in my fucking communion outfit. I was into that skip like a shot, coming back up the road with a load of scrap. I was coming back up, I got better around the house I did.
Did you make a few quid off?
Yes, I did, always, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's all that matters.
So I used to save it up because I used to have pigeons and all, you know, so I used to be able to collect the scrap, save it up, be able to buy me pigeon corn and stuff like that, you know?
Yes. And what was school like for you? Did you enjoy school or?
I hated school.
Did you?
I have to say I hated school. I'm not good at writing stuff down. I was good in my head.
Yeah.
I was great at maths, and like I'd be always doing my homework and just write the answers down. Did keep thinking I was copying people,
Yeah.
you know. And I just like, how did you get that? Well, I did that, and I'd have the answer. I wasn't good at writing it down or explaining it,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So that was kind of a bit of a hard thing.
You were more a creative kind of mind.
Yeah, I was always creative and
Yeah.
coming up with ideas, you know, stuff like that.
And did you know when you were younger what you wanted to be career-wise, or?
So when I was a bit older than that, I kind of didn't at that. No, I was a bit lost like every kid, you know what I mean? Kind of 10, 12 years of age. When I got a bit older than that, we actually my dad used to sell in the Ivy Market around the corner, and every Saturday I used to go down there and he used to sell bric-a-brac and silverware stuff, you know, stuff like that. But that kind of got me into them people, like you had the nannies and all coming in selling their jewellery and stuff like that. So occasionally I would buy the jewellery and then I'd resell it when I was a kid. So I would have been kind of maybe 14ish when that started happening. And then when I was 15 I got my first apprenticeship as a jeweller.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
And what,
Yeah.
what was included in the apprenticeship? Like, I never heard of it.
So what it was I was in the tech on Clogger Road, and I was in what's that year when you're
Fourth year, transitioner.
could have been, yeah, I think it was that, yeah, you're right, just after my junior cert. And so
You didn't finish
Solvar,
school, did you?
what?
You didn't finish school?
No, I didn't finish school.
Right.
Solvar was we're a manufacturing company, and they own fields, Fields Jewelers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they owned all them. So they have a manufacturing company. They had a Harcourt Street at the time. So they came in and they took 10 of us on for like trial for the apprenticeship. I got the job when I was 15.
How long did the apprenticeship last?
So it was supposed to be 4 years. But within that 4 years, I was with them manufacturing and all. But I got knocked down when I was a kid, when I was 8, and I was ploughed out outside my ma's house. But I got some compensation for that. And then, so that was like 10 years later when I was 18. So I got the job at 15. By the time I was 18, I was still with them. But I was also getting me compensation when I was 18.
Right.
So I had a few bob.
Yeah.
And what I did, we bought our first business then. Me and my wife used to work for her mother's uncle in a newsagent in Island Bridge. It was called Bill's of Island Bridge, right in front of the army barracks. So he was in bad health and he wanted to sell the lease. So I had the few bob from the compensation.
Were people telling you sort of not to do it, or they?
Everybody.
You're crazy, or you're going out on a risk.
Even my dad was like, "You're making a mess, it's a joke, do not do it, I'm telling you, keep your money and all."
How did you keep that vision in your head protected?
I just knew. I just had to go with my heart, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was good at buying and selling stuff all up to that, you know what I mean? So Lisa had already worked in that shop and she kind of knew the run of it, and it was a busy little shop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my dad lent me a few bob, and I was able to buy the lease on that with my few bob and with my dad's few bob.
And what age were you then?
I was 18.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
so achievement.
Yeah.
Buying your own place at 18.
Yeah, we bought the lease and so it was mad. No one was even driving cars then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's mad.
Yeah, so we bought the lease on that, me and Lisa. And what happened then was we were there for I think maybe 3 years or so. The owner of the building, can't think of his name, but they started to buy everywhere around us. They bought like the last shop on that place and the last shop on this place. It was a big company that walked in behind us. So they kept buying in everywhere and around us. And I was like, these are going to come in and buy us.
Yeah.
So I was like, I went to the owner of the whole building. We only had the shop at the front, and I was like, will you sell it to me on a Friday night? And he was like, yeah. So we did an agreement over the phone. I was like, yeah, no bother. Monday we'll talk again about it. I was like, I got to him before then.
Yeah.
You know, then Monday I rang him, he's like, sorry, the place is gone, sold. So he sold the whole building. But I had the lease, and there was 27 years left on the lease.
Right.
So no matter what they did, they couldn't get rid of us.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so we had one of these big companies then coming in, they were trying to bully us and all. And they were like, should the army barracks is closing down, you won't have any business, we're closing down, we're at the buying this, we're at the buying that, all around you, there'll be no one left, there'll be no business.
So everyone was basically telling you it won't work, sort of.
Yeah, they were all coming at us at that stage,
Yeah.
you know, but they were kind of, I was only a kid,
Yeah.
like a young flick, you know what I mean?
How did you deal with it?
Well, I actually got annoyed with the fellow one day and I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm closing the place down and I'm going to just keep paying your rent and you can then do whatever you want to do, buddy. You're going to have to work it out.
Yeah.
So eventually they came back and they were like, no, listen, we don't want to be like that. We'll give you the money back that you paid for the lease. And I was like, no, I'm not just taking that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went to my accountant, had a meeting with him, and he was like, Jeez, Fran, if you got X amount, you'd be doing well, wouldn't you? And I was like, no, I'm not taking that either, whatever my accountant said. So they kept coming back then over about a 6 month period, and you're like, we'll give you more, and we'll give you more, we'll give you more. And eventually it turned out we got more than the fella just for the lease that sold the whole building. You know, so that kind of set me up then into another.
Why did you hold out so long? A lot of people get money thrown at them and straight away they'd panic and take it thinking I have to take it.
I have to say I have a kind of a principle thing. I don't like being bullied.
Right.
You know, and they were trying to bully us.
Yeah.
They were trying to kind of look down the nose at us, you know, and they were like, no, should, you know, dismiss me and all that, you know. So I was like, no, it just wasn't happening, you know what I mean. So that went on then, and eventually I think it was around 2000 that kind of came to a head, and bang, the deal was done on that. So me and Lisa bought our first house then out of that.
It's amazing.
That's
Well,
what
yeah.
I was, I think, around probably 20,
That's
21 maybe.
Yeah.
And what happened next? What did you do next then?
So while we got bought out of that, so the houses were crazy money then.
Yeah.
So we bought our first house in Offaly, in road it is, so it was like kind of about 40 miles out the road. And that was our first step in the property ladder, you know. So we got the house down there. In between getting that house, I started working for a friend of mine on the street here. John already worked for my business partner, John, Henry. So he had a jewelers further up here. And I started working by him then. So between the end of getting out of the shop, I was working by him, and I was doing a little bit. Fields had asked me to come back then, because I had left them for the other business.
Right.
So they asked me to go back and be training the other fellas how to do the stuff. So I was training all the fellas in there. I think could have been back for nearly a year with them.
What exactly were you trying them to do? Make jewellery?
No, so they did a lot of export to America and all. So you'd be making you'd be making cladded rings, cladded bangles, you know, pendants, all Irish made jewellery, all that sort of Celtic stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they were massive, you know what I mean, on the telly and all, selling to America and all that. So I was good at that, and they were like, would you come back and show all the kind of new apprentices how to do the stuff, how to kind of shortcut instead of doing the bigger labour, how to do the stuff quicker and better quality, you know.
From doing so well at a young age, how did you keep, like, not get complacent and, like, keep that drive to keep going?
I've kind of never lost the drive. I still I'm doing like 10 things now at the moment, you know. So I don't get me wrong, you get distracted, you know what I mean, like everybody at that age.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends, you know what I mean. We did a lot of partying, you know, we did a lot of drinking over a lot of time, you know. We're kind of knocked that in the head about maybe 10 years ago.
And how long did you go working for Fields and other place down the road, your business partner?
So Fields, I left them after probably around 4 years. Then I went back. I was telling you to trying to train the people, but I went working them for kind of on a part-time basis for Henry. And what happened was we used to go, everyone around here, when we used to close the shops, all the shopkeepers every night would go, do you want to go for a pint? Do you want to go for a pint? So that kind of dragged on for a couple of years. Everyone used to go for Gardle every day. But what happened was Henry actually got killed in a car crash one night. So we were all at the Benow. He went home and ended up getting killed in a car crash. But woke up the next day, got a phone call, Henry's had been killed. So there was chaos went on there. So we came, after Henry died, we were all walking in the place, and it was kind of, the place wasn't the same without Henry.
Yeah.
So it kind of went down and down and down, and it was going lower and lower and lower. And eventually me and John, I actually asked his missus, I said, come here, do you want to let me run the place? And she was like, oh no, I'm doing it myself. And I was like, yeah, well come here, that's cool, no problem. But I could see where it was going, you know, and I just wasn't waiting around to be told one day, listen, your job was gone. So myself and John just said, no, you know, we're going to do our own thing. And we opened up the street.
How did you, what was the vision for it? So you and John met up together and you both going out on another risk. I'm sure people want to tell you is not to go.
Yeah, so I had the few bob then, remember I was telling you from getting bought out.
Yeah.
So I had the money to kind of to buy the stock for the investment to get the business off the ground.
Why did you go to John? Why not just do it yourself?
Well, John was an older jewelry. Like John was nearly 15 years older than me.
Yeah.
So you kind of need partnerships do work well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would have been just me then on my own down there being a 20-something-year-old, you know, jeweler.
John was bringing experience.
John had experience. You know, he was good on the bench. You know, his father was a jeweler. You know what I mean? So he had the experience. I had the money, and I've good sales as well. You know, so John kind of works well in the background. That's his forte. My forte is out front. I'm front of house.
And did you call it the Copric Jewelers from the start?
Yeah.
What made you come from now?
There was a couple of things. It came in the fact that there was a couple of places around. One was called Copric something. I don't know what it was called. It was something to do with jewelers. And then there was Half Price Jewelers. Was an English firm.
Right.
So I kind of took a bit from all the names. Yeah. You know, and came up their Copric Jewelers. You know.
And how did you improve like your marketing and your sales over the years? Like,
it was always word of mouth at the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not good online, as I said to you. I'm not really good at writing stuff down. Even to this day, I wouldn't not even great at sending an email.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know what I want to say and I know what I want to do. I just get someone else to do it. You know what I mean? But in relation to marketing and all, that's where my daughter Caitlin came into play. So she's tech savvy. You know what I mean? Like you all are now. You know what I mean? With Instagram and social media and stuff like that. So she over the years from through the lockdown. You know, we were busy jewellers up to then, you know what I mean? I don't mean that. It's just COVID came, and if we had been just dependent on what we used to do, you'd have been closed down.
What types of changes or adaptations did you make from first starting up to now?
That would have been a major thing, social media. You know, we never really pushed social media before that. Yeah. You know, because I'm really an old schooler, as I say to you, you know, but the next generation have shown us a lot. Your kind of age, you know what I mean?
And do you think that collaborations work well for you? Like you've had some big names shopping down with you, like the McGregor family, and had a few different people down. Yeah. Do you think that helps?
Yeah, well, of course, things like that always help. You know what I mean? You know, the more you can get, like you reach out to all the influencers, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Do work stuff out with them. That has a lot of traction, but that's a lot of stuff that I didn't understand. You know, so Caitlin kind of looked after that end of it and pumping the stuff out to influencers and getting them to help us and give us a hand and making them stuff, unusual pieces and all, you know what I mean? We made unusual pieces for loads of people.
Why? So what sort of gave you the idea to start down the customizable pieces?
But we always did, that's what we were always known for from day one.
Customizable pieces?
Yeah, from hand making stuff. It just no one would have seen it.
And was that hard?
Yeah.
Breaking through the market?
Yeah, well, like at one stage, like I used to work in my ma's shed making jewellery. Right. I was working for Henry and we had the newsagent business. So I was working 3 jobs. My wife Lisa was over there working that. There was long hours in there. That was like 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. Plus then you'd be working on Sunday. And then I'd be making stuff out my ma's back. We used to actually do jewellery parties. That's what another kind of step in between getting the shop. And there was an interim period there, maybe a year or two, where we kind of left there. We were building that place over there, but we also needed to keep kind of getting a few bob in, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we used to do jewellery parties. We used to go around with these like rep cases and we'd have stuff that we were at the making, and we'd say we'd go to your house and you would have maybe 10 people in your house. So say he wants to buy a chain, his friend wants to buy a ring, we would trust, we'd say 5 or 6 or 10 people, and we would give you the stuff and you would say collect £20 a week off him or £30 a week off him, and then another person would collect a tenner a week off someone else, 20 a week off. So we would come to your house, we'd say once a month we'd have a jewellery party, people would pick out stuff and they'd pay it off by the week. So we might have 10 houses.
Did that create problems for you though, people not paying?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So I used to always say, you know what I mean, when you would do the next, like you do a jewellery party today, you'd have lovely stuff, new stuff, you know, and by the time people would be, say the stuff was 200, say you bought an item for £200, and you were supposed to pay it off over 10 weeks. I'd be doing a jewellery party then in 4 weeks with more other stuff. And they'd be like, I don't really like that other stuff, you know what I mean? Can I swap that back? Or that's when you would see a red light and you'd be kind of going, no, listen, we made you that stuff, you've worn it now. You only really don't like it because you're looking at the new stuff. Yeah. You know, and then what happens in another 4 weeks when I have the more new stuff? Yeah. You know, it's a vicious circle, so I had to be firm and go, now listen, you cannot get rid of the stuff until you pay for it.
That's one thing I was going to say to you, like I was only thinking of this the other day, like how in business did you learn to be like, not be emotional in business and know how to be like cutthroat in what you want to do?
I wouldn't say I'm cutthroat.
Like not like,
but it had to be fair.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like not being too nice to people, but also not being too.
Yeah, there is a happy medium you have to do.
Yeah.
Not everybody is the same, and not every case is the same. Like we're not going to be taken for a ride either.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you can't be taken for a tick either, because then you will get walked over.
Yeah.
But when you're in business, I mean, you learn a lot of mistakes. You trust a lot of people, you know, and you will get burnt.
Yeah.
You know, what did he say? You know, experience comes from a costly skill.
Yeah.
And I have learned that a few times.
Do you like that quotes, yeah?
Yeah, I love the quotes. You know what I mean?
We'll be asking you for your favourite one at the end.
Yeah, well then we'll see what we have there for you.
What a lot of people say don't mix business and pleasure. So like, how did you keep it? How did you bring your family into it? Did you not clash sort of with your family then, bringing them into the business? And how do you keep it a well-run family business?
So that is challenging, but we are a tight family. So as I was saying to you before about like, I used to have a lot of friends, you know what I mean? And like over the years I learned who our real friends are, you know, and at the end of the day I truly believe you only have your family, you know, and that is it, you know. Sorry to something in my eye. You only have your family because no one treats you like your family. You can't talk to anyone like your family. Like I've had friends that are like brothers to me and they're not around me now. Do you know what I mean? But when my kids got older, we all learned, we all live in the same house, of a house, you know, there's 10 of us living in the house, you know, and we dine out together, we drink together, we go on holidays together, because there's not a lot outside that, to be honest with you, that's real. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people pretend to be real and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think you only have your family, you know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And you see, like through the hard times, like how did you have that mindset of like trusting the process and like patience to see where it goes?
Was there
like,
somebody you were looking up to, like following that sort of dream, or
like
were you just going down a road that you didn't know what it led to, sort of?
I always took chances, always. I was always balls to the wall. Like I put every last penny I had into something. You know, and it just, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of things didn't work out. Like in 2008 when the recession came, so me and my brother had a couple of rental properties, and we were in a bubble, like, you know what I mean, we were all out partying, you know, my accountant was going, Fran, this is not going to last forever, you know, anything could happen. So me and my brother, we bought this house and we levelled it. We used everything we had to buy it. So we were all in, as I was saying, no money left. We bought it and the bank promised us money then to let us rebuild it as 2 houses. So when we levelled it, we had all in, the recession hit. We woke up one morning, it was like, the world is in recession. So I'm looking and going, I have literally, don't even have a house now. I have a piece of land that's worth buttons because the economies are crashing. So that was hard. That was a hard lesson. I've learned that now. As we're coming around now, we're getting in recession times. I've kind of been trying to teach me kids and all to look out for signs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was a family time again, because all my family, like everybody around me went to credit unions and all. You know, all my family friends went and got a little bit of money here, a little bit there, and they helped us all get together and build the houses back up and actually get them rented. So we were able to hold, like, we nearly lost everything. You know, Linny lost my own house and all, you know what I mean? In 2008, that was hard.
And how did you end up getting into like property and real estate then?
So that was the buzz back then. Like, you could go to buy one house and they'd say, do you not want to buy 2? Yeah, that's the way it was, you know what I mean?
It's like in a circle, take boy one bar.
That's it, that's the way it was. Like, we went to buy, me and Lisa were buying, so we wanted to move up from Offaly then because she was due my second child, my son Killian, and we went to look at an apartment. Before she knew she was pregnant, we were buying it, and in the process of buying it, we found out she was pregnant. So I went back to the broker. I was like, no, I'm gonna have to pull out. You know, I'm gonna have to get a house now. I can't go to an apartment because she's pregnant. And he was like, why not buy a house as well? You know, we'll get you a mortgage on it. So that's what happened then. So literally, I was like, well, I'll take the apartment and I'll take the house. You know.
Because it's an important thing nowadays, real estate, isn't it? For
Yeah, real
holding
estate's
money,
a
keeping
big
money.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but it's kind of to be a bit more cleverer now on how you do things and how you structure things to last for longevity, you know what I mean? Back in them days I wasn't thinking about that, but I learned a lot of lessons from them.
And then from COVID times, when COVID hit you then and you had the Copric up and running, when it first hit, what were you thinking?
I thought the place was going to be gone, definitely.
Did you?
Yeah, 100%.
And what sort of challenges were through at you and how did you overcome them? How did you keep believing in yourself and believing in the Copric Jewelers?
I had a lucky charm.
Did you? Yeah.
Well, as I was saying to you, all the family stuck together.
Yeah.
So we were, Caitlin was posting stuff all the time on Instagram and everybody was going mad about it. That got us out there. We were making stuff in the shop and getting it out to people. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, we were making stuff in the shop and getting it out to people. One order went into another order, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, the challenges were like the police kept coming up to the shop to us. They were like, no, you have to close. And I was like, no, I don't have to close.
They were trying to bully it as well?
They were trying to bully us.
What were they saying? You're not allowed
Like,
to
no, you're not allowed to trade. And I was like, no. I said, so I had a recording of the Taoiseach on my phone saying that manufacturing is allowed to stay open. So I got stickers made and stuck to me front window to say we are, because our company is actually called M&A Manufacturing Jewelers Limited, trading as the Copric Jewelers.
Right.
So I had the manufacturing thing stuck in the window. So every time they kept in, I was going, take a look at the window there. And they obviously went and checked it out. Now they walked with us then towards the end after 4 or 5 times of coming up. Remember, people were crawling the shutters and all the places.
Yeah.
We could leave our shutters up.
Right.
You know, and we had to do the social distancing and all in the shop, you know, stuff like that. We were ticking all the boxes with that. But at the end of the day, we were a manufacturing company. I didn't just set it up because of COVID, you know what I mean? We had it going 15 years before that.
And what did you think when your daughter, you said your daughter came to you with the idea of getting influencers involved to grow you? Did you think, obviously you wouldn't have thought that was a good idea maybe back then because you didn't see that.
No.
So what was your sort of answer to that?
Yeah, she kind of, she's very like me, you know, takes chances and, you know, goes with things. So I was like, yeah, we'll go with it then, you know what I mean? So that is exactly what happened. We were reaching out to different people and, you know, those people have become friends now. And, you know, they would have been posting stuff and without them now as well, you know, posting all that stuff, we wouldn't have been out there either. You know, we probably wouldn't have lasted through COVID either.
And do you think like adapting to the times in business is an important part? Like
adapting to the times?
Yeah, adapting to the way the market works.
Yeah, you have to be kind of on the ball. Yeah.
What did you find hardest, the jewellery side of things or the business side of things?
I'm not, like, you mean running the jewellers or the behind the scenes of it?
Running the jewellers, or else like all the sort of taxes you have to do on the business and
that's hard.
And all that.
That's hard, but as I said, before 2008 I wouldn't have been kind of up on that, whereas I learned a lot of lessons then after that when you have to, you know, really reach down deep to try and save yourself. You know, so that's what we had to do. So
what's one of the most valuable lessons that stuck with you since then?
Well, I kind of wouldn't be going, like, at the moment there's a buzz on, you know, I think there's a property crash due, or there's a recession due. I could be wrong, but I think it's due. I get a kind of a feeling now, and I don't know what it is. It's a feeling I had before. I've never seen so many for sale signs up. I've never seen so many to let signs up. No one's saying we're in recession, but there's a feeling at the moment that the bubble's ready to burst. And that's the way I feel. And I feel that as a lesson that I learned from the last time when I wasn't reading all the signs. You know what I mean? Literally the signs in people's front gardens for sale. Like around my area there's probably 10 houses for sale now. 2 years ago there would have been 1. You know, we were down on the Keys the other day. My wife was doing a photo shoot for her business, and in 10 of the Georgian kind of houses there was 6 of them for sale. You know?
That's what I was going to say to you. Is that where you find that signs for recession is true, seeing so many properties for sale? Like,
yeah, well, that's people, everyone's trying to get out quick.
You
know what I mean? So they're like, oh, well, you know, it's ready to go, boom. And, you know, like I've had a few friends of mine and I suppose mentors over the years older than me, and they would have taught me a lot, you know what I mean? Like one friend of mine was an architect, used to be a planner. He taught me a lot about property and developing and stuff like that, so we've done a bit of that myself and my brother.
What's the first step you'll take if the recession hit tomorrow?
I'm already taking it.
You're planning for the
Yeah,
future, are you?
yeah.
Do you think that's an important part, like thinking ahead, not just in business but in life in general? Like,
Yeah, you have to
for
think
recessions
ahead.
and
I mean, when you're young like you, as a lot of people don't, they're just living in the moment, you know what I mean? You know, they're
Life is like a game of chess. You have to be 3 steps ahead.
exactly, you know. Like a lot of people don't think like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just living week to week, and as a fella said to me, see about this tapping thing on your phone and not using cash. Like the difference now with kind of 20 somethings is, the man was saying, like, Pete, they will just tap until the phone goes declined.
Yeah, they
And
won't
then
think what's in their account.
And then they're like, how the fuck am I getting home?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas years ago when we were going out, you had to make sure you had at least your taxi money in your pocket.
you'd have it all, you'd know
You know
what
what
you
I mean?
have, yeah.
You knew you were buying your last, and this is my last drink, because if I
Yeah.
buy another drink, I'm walking home.
Yeah.
You know, so this generation now doesn't be thinking of that.
They think
you know?
money grows off the trees, like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like that the tap is going to last forever on your phone. It's not. You know, I think getting rid of cash is a big thing. I think people nowadays don't value, like some people don't even know how to count money. You know, my son is in the class there, my son Frankie, and he's the only one in the class that can tell time on his watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Smart, isn't it?
Out of like 30 kids, and the only reason he's doing that is because he works part-time in the jewelers.
Yeah.
Like he's 16 and he's doing people's watch batteries and all and doing stuff like that for people, so he knows.
And what did it look like for you then after COVID up to now? What was the journey like? How did you keep going?
So we've had to keep you know mixing up stuff, you know. At the moment there's a lot of places doing. Tell you what the challenge. There's a lot of places now doing, we'd say, stainless steel jewellery, and it's plating and it looks great, you know, and it's flash and it's cheap, you know, but they're buying me, say, a new piece every 2 weeks because they just want it to look new, you know. But that's another business. It's another side of things that, all right, that's somebody's business. Our stuff is different in that, like, we only sell silver or we only sell gold, you know. It's, and the stuff that we make, you know, we make to last, you know. So it's kind of, your generation don't really see the value in stuff like that, you know. Like I've seen so many stuff we'd say bought at Christmas, say young girls, 18, 20-year-olds, and their mother spending a few £100 and stuff, and they're rallying it, you know. And then they're coming in like 4 weeks and they're going, oh, that broke, oh, that just broke. And I'm like, they don't break, they don't just break. Now don't get me wrong, you can get something that breaks, but if the one girl is coming in every 6 weeks, she's doing something wrong. They've no real respect for things like that. It's just like the tap thing on your phone. You know what I mean? It's like, that generation just hasn't kind of learned the lesson yet. You know what I mean?
So you got Dana White says, if you had a good head on your shoulders in this generation and you know what you want and you're willing to go at it, you're going to run everyone down in the process.
Exactly. That is what needs to happen.
It's the same with time, I think, like what you're saying as well. I think a lot of people don't value time. Like they think, like, it's nearly June now, do you know what I mean? And most people are stuck in January thinking it's the new year, you know?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know loads of people that are like thinking it's still January, and I'm like,
no,
like
in 4 months' time we're going to be looking at Christmas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I'm always like racing against time, or like not panicking, but I think some people do need to panic at times because like you don't have forever. Like you can't just every week go out partying this, that, you know, like.
And that is another thing we say about this next generation, you know, they've no kind of urgency about them.
Yeah.
There's no rush, there's no push. Like I have a friend of mine that owns an electrical wholesalers, and like the way I was telling you, when I used to nix that out my ma's backyard and making the jewellery, that'd be a kind of sideline, that kind of got you a few bob every week extra, you know what I mean? So the likes of electricians and plumbers and stuff like that, like my mate was saying, Fran, there's no one doing nixers anymore because they're getting too much money Monday to Friday. You know, he's like, the nixer game is gone. his company used to be flat out busy on a Saturday morning with fellas getting their jobs to do Nixers Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. Now he doesn't even open on a Saturday and he's closed at 1 o'clock on a Friday. Because the next generation doesn't want to do it. He said like they want to be out on a Friday and Saturday having their coffees, wheeling the baby around in a pram, and you know, everything, the world is passing them by.
That's right. I think a lot of people, especially in our generation, they think that. I was actually listening to a podcast of a fella, Central Seas now, he was on it, and he was saying that like a lot of people think that they look at a celebrity, but they don't look at the celebrity for the side of having a strong mindset and working hard. They just see the watch or whatever, but he was saying like they don't live like that every day.
No.
Same with footballers, people think they just stroll out to their cars.
No.
They don't see
There's a lot behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like I don't drink anymore. So I had a great time drinking. I had a great fucking 20 years, you know, times are good, everyone was buzzing. But I had to just get off the wagon about 10 years ago, so I don't drink or do anything now. It'll be 10 years now in August, but going back to what you're saying about it being hard behind the scenes, you do have to be hard. You know, like I can be out and be in the scenes and you just have to walk away most times. You know what I mean?
Saying I always heard is if you're self-employed, the only time you get off is Christmas. But that must be completely
I don't get Christmas off. I tell my kids Christmas doesn't happen in Christmas. Christmas happens in January.
What? How do you?
There is no Christmas.
No, because Christmas is us.
How do you deal with being busy, and how do you still have time for your family and still have time for life outside, or do you have a life outside?
Well, the thing is, my family and my life.
Yeah.
That is it, point blank. You know, my family and my life. As I say, we eat together, we drink together, we socialise together, and we holiday together, and we live together. You know, so I don't do a lot outside of that. Like I like to fish, you know, but I only fish when I go away on my holidays. So apart from that, we all just gel and mix together. You know what I mean? So I kind of don't know what else to say about that part of the world.
What does a day in your life look like?
Day in my life looks like we get up in the morning and we do a school run with my daughter.
Are you still living out in Offaly?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say that's some travel.
Yeah, no, I live in Walkinstown.
Right.
Yeah, so myself and my wife got up and we bring my daughter Lexi to school for about 9:15.
Yeah.
I go and get a coffee back to the house, so maybe 9:15 and ready, and then down to work for 10 o'clock. So my wife has her, this is where we are at the front of her place. She has her own business there as well, so we're running 2 businesses. She has the Beauty Baby Boutique, so she opened that through COVID as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so she started doing that.
What gave her the drive to open that? Could she not stay complacent saying you already have the business?
No, she always had, Lisa has a passion, you know, she had a passion for having babies and being a mother and being that kind of mammy.
Yeah.
You know, so she always had that in her. She's a great eye for like interior design stuff. So that was something she always wanted to do. So the kids kind of got to a certain age where she had a bit of freedom to put extra time into her goals then. You know, after kind of backing me on my life. Yeah. You know, it was kind of time for us to all muck in and we deal with her as well, you know what I mean?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So now something I was going to say to you, like, do you think that like valuing time with like your family and all is very important? Like, see the way like life can change like that.
Yeah.
You think that like valuing time with others is the most important part?
With your family, not really with others, if I'm honest.
Yeah, like with your family, I mean.
Yeah. With your family is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of families can't, and they have, a lot of them have their own reasons. I get that, but yeah, I think if you can, your family's where it's at. Now, don't get me wrong, we have arguments here, you know what I mean, and because we're living together, we're going home then, but we definitely try and not bring arguments home to the house. You know, we could have an argument in the house about something that's going on in the house, you know, but we try not to bring work stuff back to the house. Yeah. You know?
Do you... Sorry, question went in my head there.
No problem.
Are you at a point now in your business where you can step back and let other people run it, or do you ever want to get to a point like that where you can pop in once a week and let that run itself?
We always talk about retirement, you know, and stuff like that. I'll never retire because it's not kind of in me to retire. You know, I always want to be doing something. Yeah. You know, like, to give you an example, my dad's 78 years of age, he's a taxi driver and he's still taxing.
It's amazing.
You know, and he does, like, my ma's 77, she helps me in the shop 3 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, she potters around, makes the tea and goes for the lunches and stuff like that. My dad takes the deliveries, he does a lot of deliveries for us if they're local. Because we're a firm believer, like especially when you get to that age, if you don't use it, you lose it. You know, so there's too many people down there now, Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Because they're sitting in the house all day and you've no one to talk to.
I think that's a myth. Like, I heard Richard Branson saying that, you know, the owner of Virgin Media, he was saying that, like, I think especially for like entrepreneurial people and business people, they find it hard to like shut off for grinding all them years just to retire, you know.
Yeah, I don't shut off. I never shut off. I mean, all day long.
And so I don't think, like, I think I'm way too far ahead. I don't think I could ever see myself retiring either. Like, I'm just one of them that I always have to do something like to keep my mind occupied.
Like when I go away on holidays now, I'll still be on the phone. You know what I mean? There's none of this turning off the phone. I can't get my head around some people with that, I'll be honest with you. I had a fella, no, I swear to God, as an entrepreneur, and if you're an entrepreneur, I can't get my head around how you can turn off. Now, I might be wrong, but workers turn off because they can. You know, the entrepreneurs have to think of the
because it's a mindset, like, isn't it? Like,
because if you leave the workers to do it, they're not going to strive.
Well, they don't have the same
drive
as you or the same bite or thing. Now, they're great, and my workers are great. But I don't expect them either to do what I do because they don't own the business, we do. Do you know what I mean? So
it's like I think the best way to describe a business is like, it's like growing a baby, isn't it? Sort of, in a way, like,
it is.
It really is, like, it's a lot of people's personality, like, anyone I look up to, like, Richard would be one of the old one. If you look at him, next to his name straight away, I see the Virgin Media Group. Same with, like, another fellow I look up to, George Heaton, he owns Represent with his brother. I look at him, next to his head I see Represent, even without seeing it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's part of people's personality, I think.
Did you imagine when you started you'd be where you are today?
Well, I always knew I'd have 4 kids. Don't ask me how. I was a kid and I always said to Lisa, now we'll have 4, and we had 4. So I have Lexi, Frankie, Killian and Caitlin. So I always knew I'd have 4 kids. But I don't know whether I always knew I'd be stupid to say I always knew it, but I knew I would graft. And I would work hard, and anything I do I put my heart and soul into it. You know, I lose interest very easily. If I don't think something's going to be worth it, I just don't even give it the time of day. You know, but anything that I do give the time of day, I'll give it my all. You know.
What vision do you have now for the Copric Jewelers in, say, 5 years?
In 5 years' time, everything is changing. It's really, stuff is going online now, you know what I mean? So there is a few challenges, but, you know, as I say to you, I keep trying to get, we'd say, people into the shop, you know, into the store, and to get that, you know, come in and look at a piece of jewellery. You know, not just press a button and go, yeah, I'll have that. Come, no, I don't like that, send that back. You know, there's a lot of that goes on, you know what I mean? So we need to kind of go back to our roots, I think a lot of people do. You know, stay local, support local, you know, that sort of thing. The challenges, that is the challenges in the future, you know what I mean? Getting people out, and people don't really want to travel, they don't want to put their time into that, they're too busy. I always say it now, have you noticed everybody's too busy now? Everybody. They could be unemployed and they're still too busy. I'll drop over to you, yes, I'll see it, and you don't see it, or anything like that. I'm busy. Everyone's busy. And it's kind of...
Well, if you want to do something else, you will find time for it.
Exactly. You'll find time to do what you want to do. You know, like with the people being, like we found in the jewelers, especially after COVID, a lot of people get impatient, right? And so we do a lot of handmade stuff, as you know, custom stuff. And say, for example, our name chains are really good quality, but they're handmade from scratch. So you're not putting a piece of gold into a machine and pressing a button and it's cutting it out, you know, and then we solder a chain on it. That's the quick way. We don't do that. So we melt the gold, we roll it out, we hand engrave it, and then we hand cut it out by hand, you know, and it's quality. You can tell the difference between our name and a machine cut out name. But the customers don't understand that.
Do you think gold's a currency?
Definitely. The oldest currency on the planet. You know what I mean? And it's probably the best.
Do you think it's a good idea to buy into gold?
Yeah, definitely. Now it's kind of, it's high now, but like all the people that I listen to are all saying it's gonna go higher. You know, like we're buying stuff back off old customers now that are getting double the money what they paid for it, say maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's for scrap. You know, that's just to melt it. You know, so the way I'm saying to people is, so not Christmas gone, the Christmas before, if something was €1,000 then to buy, today it's probably 15 or 1600 euro. And then what's going to happen if in 3 or 4 years that's going to be €3,000?
It's mental.
You know, so when I was an apprentice that time when I was 15, gold scrap price was like £2.50 a gram.
Yeah.
Today it's like €35 a gram. So that's how much it has gone up, more than 12x.
Yeah.
You know?
So I was going to say to you, actually, what's your opinion on like cryptocurrency and like investing in crypto?
Can't get my head around it once again.
It's online. You rather everything.
I lost a few bob on it.
Did you?
Yeah.
You tried it?
Yeah.
Or did you try it?
I tried it because I had a few bob sitting there, not a lot, but and the kids had a few bob and we all kind of pulled in. And like as that old mentor friend of mine said, listen Fran, don't send a plumber to do an electrician's job. So the crypto stuff, I think you have to be watching. You have to know what's going on in the market, stuff like that. So I found myself being on the phone all day, every day, looking at it, going, oh, it's up a little bit, it's down a little bit, it's this, it's that. And I was like going, how much time am I actually giving this thing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I was to put that whole time and energy that I'm giving this into what I do, I can make it, I can be more productive.
Yeah.
So I woke up one morning then to roll in with that, and the whole lot dropped. You know, it was that time about maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
All the crypto dropped and I was like half asleep in the bed and I was like, that everybody's stuff, me, the kids, the whole lot, I was like, sell.
Yeah.
Now, they're lashing me out now, the kids, for selling because where it's at the going now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's one of them that you have to really like obsess over, don't you? Like you have to proper learn it and understand it.
Do you think watches is a good currency? Because you know the way some sort of like, for example, Rolexes, you can buy one, and then if you had to sell it on the marketplace, it's sell for higher, like, but it's gone down.
I think them days are gone.
Do you think so? Do you think they'll come back?
Yeah. Well, so what it is it was the crazy time for COVID, and it was the crypto time. So remember, Bitcoin was going up, and everybody was spending like fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So number one, I deal with a company and all he sells me is Rolexes. And he said, Fran, I'm in the game 40 years. Rolexes will go down, but the lower value ones always stay at a kind of a keel that, you know, an even keel that it's not really going to affect a lot. The ones that were inflated were the likes of people that were going down to Rolex and buying a watch for 15 grand and they were able to walk it and sell it for 17.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that to me, the reason I never got into that market was they're going to come back to you then in 3 or 4 years time and go, when the market dropped, well, I paid you 17 for it. So I never sold those sort of watches.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now we can source them, you know, if people want them, but I always explain to them, people need to learn that a Rolex or a watch like that is not an investment. It's a luxury.
Yeah.
And you need to learn that. So if you're prepared to buy that luxury piece, you need to be prepared to make money on it. But I bought myself a few watches and I buy them because I like them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't care if it drops or it goes up. I'm wearing it because I like it.
Yeah, you're not wearing it to sell it.
Like if you go out and you spend €1,000 on a pair of runners, you're not going to say, I'm going to make 500 on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to wear them, you're going to enjoy them, you're going to get value out of them that way. You can't look at, like, a friend of mine here last week, and he was like, Fran, my son wants to get into watches and all, what can you do? I said, it's the end of the market now for what he's trying to buy them and flip them. And you know, you see these things on Instagram and all, and in New York, and they're buying them here and they're flipping them there. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely love that. Yeah, man, on New York he buys the watches off one jewellers.
Exactly.
Goes down to the other one, makes 1,500 or something more.
Do you know what I mean? So you have to actually know your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like buying any watch and flipping any watch.
Yeah.
You have to know the ones to flip. you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So but that in itself is another market. So nobody like yourselves is gonna jump in and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. I don't think, and I don't recommend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I recommend you're buying a watch or a piece of jewellery, you know, it's a luxury item. You're buying it to wear it and to enjoy it. You know, you're not buying it because, oh, it's going to go up next to 3 grand in 3 years. It mightn't be. So you need to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure you're told now loads of times throughout your life. What advice would you give to a young entrepreneur now who's being told, who's in the process of starting something, but everyone around him is telling him he's crazy, everyone around him is telling him not to do it, but he really believes in his heart and he has a vision with it? What would you say to him?
That's what happened to us. So when after Paul stopped working with Henry and we were building the shop, so I built that shop myself as well. Not only did we get it, I did the timber work and, you know, got all the stuff made. Like 90% of the work I made myself with my own bare hands.
Yeah.
Halfway through it, my dad comes in and he goes, "Ah, Jesus, Fran, that's not gonna fucking work out. I think you're to make a mistake here." I was like, "I don't believe you were £50,000 in just on a refit." It was unheard of because we were only renting the place.
Yeah.
And I still, like as you were saying, I believed that I could do it and we could do it, you know, as a team. It's not only me here. I have to say that we've a team, there's a team of us there. And it's because the team works together and gels together, you know, that it works. I mean, if you look at even the Google reviews and how we get, everybody says that the feeling in the shop, the vibe in the shop is a family vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think if you have it in your heart and you have a dream and you push for it, you know, I see a lot of that manifestation stuff and all going on, and like you just have to do it. You know, I realise now that you can beg, borrow and steal to get things, you know. Just have a target in your head and stick with it. Have your plan. Don't veer left, don't veer right. If you know, as you said about having a thing in the 11th month, you got to do that interview.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, I think you should stick with your dream and go for it. And then if it doesn't work out, you know, but at least I tried it.
Yeah, that's it. At least you give it everything.
Exactly. You're not going to be questioning yourself all your life and go, "Jeez, if I had done this." Definitely. Like I was actually offered a job, and my kids always throw back in my face, when I was an apprentice that time at 15. So we go to Florida, and when I was 16 we were in Florida in a mall, and I was in looking at the fella walking in the window, a jeweller, and just started looking at stuff, and the manager came out. He's like, "Oh, you from Ireland?" Yeah. I was like, yeah. I said, "I'm actually an apprentice jeweller." "Oh, you're an apprentice jeweller? We're actually looking for an apprentice jeweller, but you're not coming work for us." And I was like, "Ah, no." You know, and the kids always say, "We could have lived in Florida, you could have went, you could have done the whole lot in Florida." You know?
If you could go back now to change it?
I don't know. No. I like what I've done, you know. Like, it's not all, you know, it's not all that moving away. It's a lot to be said. You move away and you have stuff going on here with your family. Yeah. It's great to be close to people. Yeah. Like I find a lot now, all I'm hearing off everybody now is Dubai. Yeah. Dubai this, Dubai that, you know, and buy a property in Dubai and buy a flat in Dubai or an apartment. Like I got someone contacted me yesterday and they were like, "Oh yeah, we have an apartment here, you can buy it, no money down, no interest and all this," and I'm like, reminds me of 2008. Yeah, there's something wrong there. Something's not right. Yeah. Something is not right. If you're shoving stuff down people's neck. Yeah. Then what I seen popping up yesterday in the UK, they're doing 0% and 100% mortgages. That means you can go in now and buy a house with no money. So that's going to be a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong, it's going to be great for a lot of people that can get off their feet. Yeah. And buy a house. How are they going to pay that money back then? Do you know what I mean? Money in their pocket now. Like, you don't have it now, how are you going to have it? I mean, England is in trouble as it is. Yeah. And that's going to just... You know what I mean? So, as I say, there's a lot of people that over here, they can't get a chance to, get up to 40, 50,000. That's the first problem. But then the next problem they have is the average house now in Dublin is probably 450, 500,000. Yeah. Even if you have your 50,000 to buy it, how are you going to pay for it? Yeah. You know? Whereas over there, a lot of those houses are kind of... The average, like, in kind of working class areas are probably 100, 150,000, maybe 200,000. Yeah. But they're giving you that mortgage with no money down. You know, and as I heard a fella saying years ago, the money is in the debt. These places and these big banks make money by reclaiming the stuff. Yeah. You know?
What was your first sort of moment with this jewellers that made you think to yourself, do you know what, I did it, I'm happy, like I can't believe I've built this from
like a full circle moment?
Yeah.
When was it? Are you saying?
What was one particular moment?
Light bulb moment?
Yeah.
Like you do get a lot of people saying when you're out, you know,
Yeah.
or you could be at a concert and some people are screaming across you, that's good price, that's good price.
Yeah.
I don't mean like a fan thing, it's just like, oh, I got this made off you and I got that made off you.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
That's that is a good thing, you know what I mean? It's a little booster to say, you know, kind of, we have our name out there, a lot of people know us, you know what I mean?
It's amazing,
Yeah.
What advice would you give to the younger generation out there now?
I mean, they need to have more value for things. I really think they need to have more value for things. You know, like, my kids even slag me. I have a kind of a pile of summer clothes, you know, and I pull them out every year. And they're like, you're still wearing that vest, you know, but, you know, you're still wearing those shorts. And like, well, that's me summer stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and like, what am I going buying a load of stuff every year for if I have it for 2-3 weeks a year, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think they need to have more value for stuff. Tell you what else they need to have. They need to have more respect. You know, I found a lot of, and I see a lot of kind of, let's say, 16 to 20 year olds. They don't care about nobody.
Yeah.
You know, I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
In town, or, you know, they just don't care. Nobody cares that you knew that nanny, or me nanny knows your granddad, or me man knows your dad. You know, nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
You know, yous are probably saying
You don't really see the community side of things, you
no,
know?
yous are probably saying that a lot. You know what I mean? Being younger. How old are yous, by the way?
Yeah, 16.
17. So exactly, your age up. You know, I find that a lot of people. I don't know yous personally, but I find that a lot of people don't have respect. You know, not like years ago.
Yeah.
You know, definitely not like years ago. Respect is gone out the window. You know,
What made you think? Why?
I've seen it. I see it. I see it.
On the jewellers.
Not only on the jewellers, I see it on the daily around the place. You know, everybody has a short temper. You know, no one has a respect for an old person anymore.
Yeah.
You know, nobody cares. You know, I used to say there's a couple of places I hate going, and the reason for years, like my family in London, like you go over to London, if you had a heart attack and you drop on the ground, they'd step over you. You know what I mean? If you're waiting on a taxi, you took a bang at the ground, they'd step over you to into a taxi. Yeah. And the same in New York. New York was like that. The same thing. But that attitude is gone through the younger crowd now. So what's that going to be like in 5-10 years time? You know, it's going to be mayhem.
Chaos.
Yeah, going to be crazy. And then their kids.
Yeah.
You know?
What goals are you currently working towards?
I'm working on another project now at the moment.
Can you say what it is?
Can't say yet.
Right.
But it's not jewellery related. You know? I've been working on it for the last year and a half. With myself and another business partner. So that's something that's probably going to come to light now in the next couple of months.
Deadly, look forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
And circling back to your quote, do you have a favourite quote you want to show us?
Had to catch me now off track. I can't think of my favourite quote.
Yeah.
Murphy's Law. That's it. That's a quote. You know Murphy's Law?
No.
Remind me, I do know, but...
So if something can happen, it will happen. And that's called Murphy's Law. So lately in the last few weeks, the kids are at the keep saying to me, I suppose that's Murphy's Law as well, is it?
Deadly.
You know? So you're going out to do something, and if it can happen, it will happen. You know? So I'm using Murphy's Law lately. Everything's Murphy's Law.
Amazing, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Quality.
Any questions?
Thanks. Oh, well.
And that's
Are we all in?
I think we're all out, yeah?
Lovely, that's brilliant.
This was a great podcast.
Lovely, I'm delighted.
Glad for you. Episode 41.
Episode 41 wrapped up.
One and done.